Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode number, this would be 545 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is Monday, December 30th, 2024. Oh, getting close to turning the page, and I know that there's a lot of people that are really looking forward to turn the page on this one. But turning the page on 2024. But still a little bit left, a little bit of juice left to squeeze out of this lemon. I choose my words carefully. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And with me today, yay, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly, who I have missed.
Well, you've been sleeping in lately.
I have, and I actually have been sleeping in. I've actually, because normally I wake up, the alarm's set for 6:15, but often I wake up before the alarm. But there are times this week that I actually woke up at 7:28.
Oh, wow.
It's like, once I think even one day it was just past 8, so which is very rare. So I took it when it came. Last night, unfortunately, was not one of those nights I was up before. So I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, A. And like I mentioned, Mr. Grizzly is here. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. I have no idea what type of day it's going to be here at the Beaver Lodge, but it's going to be warm because at 4 o'clock this morning, it was 7 Celsius.
Yeah, I don't know what the temp here in the capital is. Let me just check, but I think it's 5 is the expected high today. And it was raining for I don't know how long yesterday, so forget about doing any winter sports right now. Yeah, 100% humidity, 3 degrees currently, mist.
Yeah.
It was foggy yesterday. It's just bizarre weather.
I know. I posted some photos for the kids who are following on our socials, and it's like we were still in Toronto at my father-in-law's, and it was literally wall of fog. Couldn't see anything at the window at all. Again, another one of those eerie sort of things. But I kind of like that in a way. I don't know, that big foggy day like that is not something that makes me sad. I mean, if it was every day, probably, but like that one day, it was just like, wow, this is kind of cool. And I mean, it lasted all the way because we drove home yesterday, and on the way home there were areas where there was more fog and less fog, and rain and less rain, and it was very intermittent, but it was all along. And then yesterday we had a little funny adventure because we had a loaner car because our car was in the shop. So we were bringing it back to the shop because he had to lend it today to somebody else, and we are picking up our own car, but it's still a little bit out of the city. And when we left there, we're driving like this, it's like, oh, we're about 15 minutes, 20 minutes from home. And then my Beaver Sweet is like, why am I not seeing anything that's getting me there? We were going back the other way, the wrong way. We were heading back to Toronto. So we stopped in Napanee. It says, might as well have dinner. So we stopped at a pub there, and it turned out to be quite a fortuitous event because there was a lady there who was singing, and her name, if I remember correctly, is Pam. Can't remember. Pam Bullard, and I think her name is Kim Bullard. And she leads something called the Kim Bullard Trio, and they're sort of like a blues trio, but she was playing on her own. And I swear to God, Mr. Grizzly, for all intents and purposes, it was my mom. Same low timbre of voice, same song selection, same. I'm just like sitting there. It's like, this is really weird. So I just went up to her at a break and I just talked to her. She's charming as all get out. Right? We shouldn't have been there.
Happenstance.
Right? Yeah. So we exchanged some contact information. So maybe we'll actually have her on. Would be nice. Give some profile. But just a lovely evening, and then got back home. So, but yeah, we were going back the wrong way. Oh man. But yeah, this morning, 7 at 4 a.m. It's 9 here right now on December 30th. I'm not good with this.
No, for a little while there, it looked like, hey, they might get the canal open just in time for Christmas. But
right.
Yeah, that's not the case. And it's going to be 7 is the high today, 4 tomorrow, 1 Wednesday, -1 Thursday, -5 Friday, -9 and -11 Saturday and Sunday. So it's more seasonable temperatures coming along, but this is not good for winter sports. Yeah. Like if you want to go skiing, you might have had a couple of days where it was pretty good. But from here on out, it's going to be shit because all that rain just turns everything to mush, and then we'll get a cold snap and it'll turn to ice. So,
yeah. Well, over here it says that we're not going to dip before 0 before sometime very early Thursday morning, like 3 a.m. according right now. So I've got a physiotherapist appointment after this. I'm going to be going by bike.
Yeah, we don't get below 0 Thursday. It's just Thursday, really.
Anyway, wow, Mr. Grizzly, and I let the kids know that you were having some troubles with migraines given the change in pressure. And, how are you feeling? And then how's your mental health today, sir?
Well, physically, I'm feeling not too bad today. Mental health-wise, I'm trying to recover from the nightmarish dreams I had. I'm not even going to get into it. They're really disturbing. Really disturbing. So, yeah, emotionally, I'm not there just yet. It takes a little while once you have stuff like that go through your head. And then, of course, the passing of former President Jimmy Carter was kind of big news. And that's a little sadness there because he was a very good man who did a lot of good works. And unfortunately, the American people chose to elect a despot in Ronald Reagan, who reversed everything that President Carter did to make America better. And we're faced with what we're faced with today because of the ramifications of the ripple effect from what Reagan did back in 1980, 81, I should say, when he first took office. Ended the fairness doctrine, pulled the solar panels off the roof of the White House, put an end to basically the not capital gains, but the high taxation rate for gains over a certain percentage that was instituted by Eisenhower that helped right the nation after World War II. He reversed everything that was good about America. He really did. And of course, buying into Milton Friedman's ideology that the shareholder is the most important factor in any company created the current state of greed that we have today. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Indeed. So definitely good man. Jimmy Carter was the 39th president of the United States from 1977 to 1981. He was elected into office after a wave of mistrust in the United States following the Watergate scandal. Deeply religious man. He had dedicated his life to ending a conflict. He helped broker a lasting peace between Israel and Egyptians during the time he was president. And that famous quotes that he says when he quoted the Bible, saying something like, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be the children of God." Right. So you hear that. That's a clip that you're going to see a lot over the next coming days. But he was that, and in order to do that, post presidency, he oversaw something called the Carter Center, which was a nonprofit that he founded himself, and it had a mission of hunger reduction, among other things. And after his presidency, this man essentially set a new standard for excellence and achievement for a post-presidential career, and his lasted nearly 4 decades. So nobody's held a candle to this guy in terms of contributions.
No, not even close.
to public service after his career as chief executive. The Carter Center had peacekeeping and hunger relief missions in more than 80 countries since he founded it in 1982. Interestingly enough, because history doesn't repeat but it rhymes, when he was elected out of office to usher in Reagan, one of the things that happened to lead to that was the fact that he failed to secure the release of American hostages held in Iran. If you've ever seen the movie Argo or heard about that, it's not exactly everything. It's the dramatization, but the main gist. Canada played a pretty big role in that. And his tenure was marked by soaring inflation and high unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a good man as president who did a lot for the nation, who happened to be there at a time of soaring inflation and high unemployment, and there was some stuff going on in the Middle East that had domestic ramifications.
Yeah.
And then they got Reagan. And now they're doing Trump. And if we parallel that over here, well, we lining up to get. So it seems.
Well, let's just hope we don't duplicate what they're about to do.
Yes.
Can't say we won't.
But
I'm afraid that there's too many people that have been riled up over the last few years by the rhetoric from verb the noun boy or noun the verb. Mm-hmm. Anyway, So
yeah.
I'm worried that people will buy into his bullshit that he's been selling us, and if enough people do, he's the next government.
Yeah. But here we are, right? Founded the Carter Center in 1982, was president 1977 to 1981. Here we are in 2024, 40 to 50 years later, about 2 generations. And the pendulum is swinging. That whole pendulum thing, we swing to the right, we swing, then we will go too far to the right, and then we swing to the left. And like this, and we just hope that, whenever we swing to the right, the people who are on the left hope that, it will swing back, that it just doesn't go to the right and stuck there. And I'm sure the people that are on the right that are for the last 9 years living completely petrified that Trudeau is going to become a tyrant. And it's like, if it's going to happen, sure, it's taking a sweet ass time, people.
Yeah.
I mean, if he hasn't done it by now, and if he didn't do it when he had an actual majority, when is he actually going to do it? But for those of you who wake up every day and legitimately live in fear that this is coming for you, well, you hope that when it swings to the left, that it doesn't get stuck there either, that it comes back a little. So, and thus we keep swinging until someone puts someone in power or just doesn't want to let it go. And then we live in a whole new reality all of a sudden. So that's why I like a little bit more down the middle. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Nobody gets everything they want, but everybody gets something. We can get by, and then we all are happy for what everybody else gets. And we all try to get along because it's much easier and simpler than fighting all the time. But politics, I guess, is more adversarial than cooperative, unfortunately. And maybe that's why those who would like a different voting system might have a point. But if the new voting system that we have is still adversarial and not inherently cooperative, we're still going to have the same problem. It's going to be the same contents constants, but just different variables. But anyway, back to President Carter. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2022 for lots of his humanitarian work because, in addition to the Carter Center, when he remained active, he was still teaching Sunday school classes, and he was working into his 90s with Habitat for Humanity. All of this while fighting a metastatic melanoma, or cancer, which had spread to his liver first and then eventually his brain. So again, when we're saying setting a standard for achievement post-presidential career,
well, just an achievement in a lifetime. Forget about just post-presidential career. I mean,
yes,
just live a life that way.
Yes, he did all that in a lifetime. Oh, and he was president too.
Yes, exactly.
Pretty much is his life. He died at his residence in Plains, Georgia. He had gone into hospice care after battling cancer. About a year ago, he went to hospice care, and he had just gone to hospital.
He knew he was at the end of his life for a while, but he was able to vote in the last election, and he said he was very proud to be able to cast his vote for Kamala Harris. The first biracial woman, or first woman of color, to run for president, first female vice president, and first woman of color vice president. So he was very proud to have voted for her, even though he knew he wouldn't. He admittedly said, "I hope I get to stick around long enough to vote. I don't know if I'll be able to see her inaugurated." And of course, we all know what happened after that. But at least he got a chance to cast his vote. So there was that was some goodness, right?
Kind of timed it right. He kind of predicted it right too, because had she won, if this is the day, he would have passed regardless. He would not have seen her inaugurate, so he kind of, got that window. But then again, maybe had she won, who knows? Sometimes some people stick around a little longer just for that one last thing. I remember as my first boyfriend's grandfather, it looked like, he was going downhill, but he really wanted to see his great granddaughter's first communion. It was really important. And he did. Yeah. And then it was about like 3 days later. I was just like, so, it's amazing what human beings can do sometimes. They could just will themselves to do. There were some, somebody wrote something. Her name is Diane Ellison on Twitter, and mentioned a quote from him. He said, "I have one life to live and one chance to make it count for something. My faith demands that I do whatever I can, wherever I am, wherever I can, for as long as I can, with whatever I have, to try to make a difference."
He's a good man.
So those are words to live by, but even better, those are words to be remembered by because you did live by them. And this man did live by them. Jimmy Carter was a religious man, a Christian who was Christ-like.
Oh, yes.
He walked his talk. President Biden said, "Millions of people all around the world feel they lost a friend as well, even though they never met him. And that's because Jimmy Carter lived a life measured not by words, but by his deeds." President, Nobel Prize winner, founder of the Carter Center, Habitat for Humanity. I mean, come on. Even King Charles paid tribute.
Oh, yeah. He's a good man. He was a good man.
Yeah. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stated that President Carter had always been thoughtful and generous with his advice to him. So the government has announced in the United States that they will hold a state funeral at Washington National Cathedral on Thursday, January 9th. But first, there will be a motorcade to the nonprofit Carter Center in Atlanta, which he founded, where he is going to lie in repose for about 36 hours. Then he will be flown to Washington, D.C., where he will lie in state in the Capitol. His remains will then be flown to Plains, Georgia, where he will be buried in a family plot. So you will see lots of news and lots of tributes to this man. And were I an American, he is one man I would have been very proud to refer to as Mr. President.
Well, here's a quote from Jimmy Carter, and as we knew, he was a deeply religious man. He said, "The alleviation of women's abuse is made less likely by the mandated subservience of women by Christian fundamentalists. What is especially disappointing is the docile acceptance by so many strong Christian women of their subjugation and restricted role." Dude punched.
Feminism in the context
Mm-hmm.
of Christianity. How do you like
Dude
that?
punched hard.
Yes, that man was punched hard and way ahead of his time.
Mm-hmm. He was a good man.
That hits in 2024.
Yeah.
And when do you say that?
I think it even hits harder today than it did when he said it. I'm not sure when he said that. It was in a novel, a book he wrote. He wrote, what, 30 books, 40 books, something like that? I'm not sure. He wrote a lot of books.
I know, right? Just this man. Wow. So yeah. Meanwhile, back at home. Kids and Cubs. Well, actually, you know what? Let's not I'm trying to decide, do I want to do meanwhile back at home or remain in the United States? Because there's some juicy stuff going on. There's some very juicy stuff. Okay. Let's do at home first.
Well, do we discuss how the prime minister was ambushed by a really somebody I think needs some therapy, to be honest with you. This woman's been going on for a couple of years. She's vaccines are 5G chip. I mean, she's out there. She needs some therapy, as far as I'm concerned. And Emily Duggan, who I guess she ran for a school board out there and was not elected because saner heads prevailed. Because as it turns out, many of the people in her community know that she needs help. As I understand it, she needs real help. Like this person is unhinged. Now, the column, I guess, that Joe Warmington wrote in the Toronto Sun went to the effect of saying, "This isn't right. We shouldn't be doing this. This is improper." And then all of a sudden, it turned into a whole new. I guess they did an edit and trying to paint her in a positive light and the prime minister in a negative light for being, I don't know, a gentleman on the spot, because she was pretty rude and vulgar to him, and he just said, "Thank you. Have a nice day." And Warmington's column went from Justin Trudeau ambushed at BC ski resort and told to get the F out of town. But the encounter with the vacation prime minister appears to be an orchestrated gotcha moment rather than an authentic interaction. That was the original headline, published December 28th. And then they updated it. Warmington, Justin Trudeau ambushed at BC ski resort and told to get the F out of town. Emily Duggan just wanted to express her frustration with him and says it was nice to say it to his face. So who's editing Warmington? And why? Right? Post media.
I don't know if it's worth showing.
I don't have the clip. I can't find it. I'm looking for it, but I can't find it.
Oh, okay.
I'll see if I can find it.
I can send it to you. I have it. Yeah. So we've touched on this subject before, in various ways, right? We had oh God, what's his name? I'm so glad I can't remember his name right now. Kean Bexty thing on the beach, right? Now, this, it would seem, would be a similar type of grouping, maybe not as established as the folks at the Counter Signal. If Kean was doing this in the context of Counter Signal, I believe he was. So not as established, but maybe even with less attempt at journalism than Mr. Bexty.
You going to call him Mr. Bexty? That you're far too polite. He's Nazi Caillou.
I am trying. I am trying.
I hear
you. That's why the words are coming out more slowly, because I am trying to pick them judiciously, rather than going off, because I really want to. I really want to. So you could see there are some screen caps of chats where you basically, yeah, you did that. Way to go, girl. So proud of you. Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. That's so amazing. Like all the self-congratulation for having basically gone up to someone and saying that, in front of their kids, of course. That's always charming. So we have essentially some stalking, some harassment, some verbal abuse. Some people looking at that go, that's not violent. I say that is. Because I'm sure if it happened to you, you wouldn't be happy about it.
I have the clip.
At all. Okay.
Just have a look at this.
Mr. Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Please get the fuck out of BC.
Have a wonderful day, ma'am.
Yeah, you suck.
Like, really? Have a wonderful day, ma'am. I wonder how Pierre Poilievre would have handled an interaction like that. In all honesty, he probably would have said, well, that's what Trudeau's telling you to do. I don't think he would have told her to F off or anything like that. He probably would have been somewhat diplomatic, but a lot less so than the Prime Minister was. He probably would have oh, you're just another one of Trudeau's paid minions, is probably what he would say. I mean, didn't he do that to This Hour is 22 Minutes guy when he...
I know. So listen, this has now happened to him.
She has 8
so
peace
often
bonds against her. This
Pardon?
woman has 8 peace bonds against her.
Wow.
So that's why I said she has problems.
Yeah. This has happened to him so often now that when somebody comes up to him, see he's open.
Yeah,
right. I mean, she's jogging to him, right? Like this. He's open, greets with an open smile. Puts his hand out to shake hand, right? And then says that, and it's sort of like, it's almost like, oh, one of those again. Well, have a nice day, and then just. I do not know how he hasn't given anyone a Shawinigan handshake by now.
He's just chilled.
With the amount of, again, whatever yoga that man is doing. So here's the and so you had the Warmington thing, and then of course one of our favorites who had sort of disappeared. Favorites, I hope you heard the dripping sarcasm in there. Who kind of vanished for a while, but appears to have resurfaced. SGR, Sheila. Oh, Sheila. She has returned, and apparently, if we go back to the she should have kept her legs crossed school, or she shouldn't have been wearing that school of thinking, Trudeau was not just on a vacation. He knew exactly what he was doing at that ski hill. He was pouring salt in the wounds of Canadians just because he can. Because there are people who are struggling, right? He's flaunting his money, his ability. Nobody else on that hill was doing that.
No. Just him. He was the only one.
Because and then he's on vacation. He took pictures of it, and they're posted. Well, actually, in this case, he didn't take pictures. Somebody came to him with a camera and posted. If we're talking about this specific image, but let's say he posted images. So, like pretty much everybody else that would have been on that hill probably that day in 2024 with one of these. Who also happen to be human beings.
I mean, when like what's the RCMP doing? I mean, I seriously just walked up, approached him, and did that. What if she had a weapon?
What if?
I mean it. Like, what if?
What if she took her hand like or bear sprayed?
Yeah,
right?
like what if?
I know. I don't get, but that's what I mean. It's like, again, the difference between Canada and the United States. This type of stuff, right? This behavior that's clearly unacceptable. And yet, her full thing, and the reason I want to bring this is a little media literacy moment, political literacy moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the second in something like this. We'll get to the first one later here. But this, and look, I don't like seeing protests at schools, hospitals, and people's houses. Reasonable opening to draw you in. Nobody likes seeing protests at schools, hospitals, and people's houses. But Trudeau knew exactly what he was doing at that ski hill. He was pouring salt in the wounds of Canadians just because he can. Reasonable opening draws you in, but note how this opinion, terms used rather loosely, is stated as a fact. As if the attacker the attacker in this case, Sheila, who wrote it, has a direct portal into their targets. Justin Trudeau's intentions and motivations. She knows the reason he did this, the only reason he is there, is to pour salt in your wounds if you happen to be a Canadian who couldn't afford such a vacation or any vacation at all. He did that just to make you feel like shit, and he did it just because he can. She knows this. She knows it. She stated it as a fact.
Mm-hmm.
That combination, reasonable opening to draw you in. I don't like people protesting at schools. Boom. With an assignment of the most ill possible motive you can attribute to someone for doing something completely innocuous. That combination is a super red flag.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the variables are, those two constants, I just want to protect children, but red flag always a red flag, because the opinion being shared within that is usually toxic bovine fecal matter.
Yeah.
All right. That's what she did right there. And the other one, Trudeau has an entire vacation property that Canadian taxpayers restored and revamped for him at Harrington Lake, replete with a hockey rink and ski trails. But he had to go to that BC ski hill and rub his holiday in the faces of Canadians who want an affordability election. Okay. That's an apex of stupid in about 560 characters. Okay?
Well, I mean, let's examine that for a second, okay?
Okay,
He's allowed a
that's
vacation.
exactly what I'm about to do.
He's allowed to have a vacation,
Yes.
no question. And instead of jetting off to the Swiss Alps, where he could very well go and probably have a larger modicum of safety around him, he vacations instead in Canada on a Canadian ski hill, where he's spending Canadian dollars in Canada at Christmas time, instead of jetting off to another part of the world. He stayed in Canada, and they're chastising him for doing that. No matter what the man does, they're going to shit all over him, no matter what he does.
And then there's a whole other section chastising him because every time he vacations in Canada, he goes to BC. A prime minister should vacation throughout the country.
Doesn't he have family there? Like, that's where he has grandparents there.
The prime minister travels throughout the country for his job. Trust me, he brings a lot of economic activity to a lot of places. Right? Y'all need to calm down.
And let's examine the fact that over the last calendar year, he's traveled less than Pierre Poilievre, who's been campaigning even though there's no election.
Exactly. So let's unpack the apex of stupid in this thing here. Harrington Lake replete with a hockey rink and ski trails. Okay, let's confuse cross-country skiing with downhill. Because I'm sure there's lots of fun drops at the Gatineau Hills. Harrington Lake was restored and revamped for all future prime ministers, not him. Trudeau has an entire vacation property that Canadian taxpayers restored and revamped for him. She writes, no Canadian PM, it seems, is allowed to vacation anywhere on the planet except at Harrington Lake. It would appear. So somebody who has a job in which they are on call 24/7, 365 for about 9 years so far is not entitled to vacation wherever the hell they damn well please.
No.
And the job that person happens to have is a leader of a G7 nation, which some people online are saying, that's not stressful at all. Oh, really? Like, just out of pure selfishness, you don't want the person who's leading a G7 nation, who's on call 24/7, 365, who has to handle, who handled in the last 9 years Trump once and a pandemic, to have some downtime? You don't think it would be in your best interest as a nation to have somebody who's a little refreshed somewhere along that way? Like, 4, he goes to BC pretty much every year, in part because that's where his brother died. Yeah, dumbass. 5, most of us take pictures on our vacation, post them on social media without being accused of rubbing it in people's faces. Seems that grace cannot be afforded to a liberal prime minister.
No.
As our friend on Learn 16 would say, you okay, hon? 6, if ever she sees or hear this, cue her trademark, strident, irrational, illogical, likely insulting, perhaps with LOL and clown emojis response that will just be silly and confirm the dumb. Because that's what she do.
The rage farming machine has to keep creating rage so that they can distract you from the fact that Poilievre is a compromised individual who was elected to power as leader of the Conservative Party of Canada with foreign interference from India. They have to distract you from that. And that foreign interference report is coming out January 31st. So just get ready for that, because that's going to be very, very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Now, by the way, in another little thing that we are not going to discuss more than this line. Apparently, that TV president down there wanted Wayne Gretzky to run for prime minister. Yeah. Wayne Gretzky said, Well, then a couple of days later, apparently, according to the Toronto Sun, Janet Gretzky, the wife, turned around and said, no, I think that's a good idea. I say, wow, you're a typical conservative couple. They don't talk to each other. I mean, Wayne Gretzky never actually came to pick up his Order of Canada.
Still hasn't, and he was awarded that in 2009.
And Janet Gretzky, weren't you the one who couldn't get out of Canada fast enough? I mean, You're the reason he got traded to the Kings. Now you want him to come back and be prime. I think someone likes being married to a celebrity.
Maybe a little bit.
Wow, that whiplash you feel. So yeah, like I said, this show is almost it's more hot gossip than it is politics these days. PP apparently wants another no confidence vote by late January. No shit, because that foreign interference report has to be deposited by January 31st. So yeah, okay. So, and of course, because Mr. Singh has announced that he's going to have his somewhere around February 5th if he sees it through. Charlie Angus kind of created an impression that might not be happening, but it was worded in such a way that could leave the loophole. But PP is sort of like doing that Price is Right move, like where everybody bids and they bid $1 more than you do. Oh no, Jagmeet Singh, you want to put your confidence motion on the 5th? Well, we need to have one before the end of January. We're going to just slide in right there and one before you because it has to be mine. He's still not going to vote for yours, honey, especially if he's got one scheduled a couple days later.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you really don't know how this works, do you? But the question with Mr. Singh is that Mr. Angus turned around and said, he's not going to play Pierre's game and all that type of stuff, and he's not going to vote for that to take down the government, but not vote to take down the government by playing Pierre's game. But if Mr. Singh does put the motion on the 5th, which essentially gives Pierre exactly what he wants anyway, it's just Mr. Singh introducing the motion. Is that still playing Pierre's game? And are you still not going to vote for that now because, this would be a terrible time to do it or around the inauguration and transition? Now, when you say that, is like not before the 20th itself, or is the after the 27th good enough? Is that enough time? So that's what I mean. There's enough wiggle room in that statement just for him to say, well, technically, while still having played Pierre's game, because, if you take down this government and he comes in and dismantles everything that you said you held dear and everything you sacrificed a lot of political capital for.
And he fully intends to do, because he said he's going to do it.
Yes. So, but the NDP might be looking at a situation that if the NDP, as I have come to know it, unfortunately does as the NDP as I come to know it, could be expected to do, because the NDP as I come to know it is more obsessed with replacing the Liberal Party as Canada's progressive option than it is in actually wanting to become the government. So long as they defeat the Liberals, so long as they get more seats than the Liberals, they're happy and they don't care what is the consequences for the rest of Canada. It appears at the moment. And that seems to have been the case for a long time, from what I can tell. So if that is the objective, well, then going on February 5th, while they either have to go with Trudeau, or if Trudeau steps down right before and they put a little interim leader, but they can't have a leadership race, and then the Liberals have to run on an interim leader.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be a good way to get a leg up to make sure that you're second. And considering how much the Canadian public appears to dislike, if we are to believe the polls, the current prime minister in the party, unlike normally when you hear people talk about, oh, well, he could launch a snap election in the middle of their leadership race, or but Canadians tend to frown upon that. Maybe they will punish. Not getting much feeling that there's going to be anybody in the regular media clamoring for the opposition to be punished. In this case, in this particular instance, given the accumulated, seemingly irrational hatred for this man. So that might be the game. The NDP might just be decided it's going to be ruthless and just like kick the party while it's down, kick a puppy while it's down.
Could be.
Could be.
It's tomorrow's New Year's Eve, and I read something just yesterday that I had to bring up as a topic of a conversation, a small topic of conversation, and it said, "I don't want to have a new year. I would like an old year, a nice, gently used new year, a gently used year, like maybe 2016, or perhaps a gently used 1998."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, because Project 2025 is about to kick off, isn't it?
Well, maybe not. Because, and here's where it gets to, okay, first of all, Kits and Kubs, right? We have all the knives out here in Canada for the Prime Minister, right? You have that Dacey thing, PP wants another one thing, Singh wants to do his, and remember, I think Mr. Singh only gets 1 or 2 opposition days in the next session. They don't get as many. There's a certain number of them on the calendar, and I think most of them go to the opposition party, and I think maybe one goes to the other, one goes to the Bloc, and one goes to the NDP. So
Right.
if they're going to do it on their own, they need to use it judiciously, or take them down on the budget, because that's the only other way is to vote either for the Bloc one, but they just said they're not going to vote for a Conservative one. So it's not like the NDP has many opportunities to do that, and if they're going to go that early with it, But so you have all those knives out, and then you have some knives out within the Liberal Party, because the Atlantic Caucus apparently put out a letter publicly saying that they want him to go. And there's a whole article in the Hill Times right now about, how some people might be organizing it back and starting to plan, because it seems that it is happening. It's starting to happen a little more out in the open. It seems that nobody's caring about the consequences. Don't start planning for my departure like this, or else I will, or else you'll what?
Mm-hmm.
Really? So it seems that, so you have all that, but take that and add that to what's going on in the United States right now, and there are more knives out than at a Michael Myers kitchen party, honey.
Oh yeah.
Sam. Okay. I don't know if you've heard, but it seems that there is a war in the United States between basically the way that Bell of the Fifth Column puts it, the right and the tech right.
The broligarchs.
Yes, the CE bros. It would appear that Mr. Vivek Ramasmarmy, Ramaswampy, actually came out and decided to muse aloud. He had some thoughts about the American workforce. Now, this follows apparently Mr. Muskrat Love making some comments about H-1B visas, particularly for the tech sector, to which a whole bunch of MAGA people turned around and said, hey, wait a minute, I thought you wanted to cut immigration to not give our jobs to foreigners. Yeah, but except for the tech sector, apparently. And, well, people are wondering why that would be. Well, it would seem that Mr. Ramaswamy decided to speak of MAGA people
Hmm.
the way MAGA people speak of people who look like Vivek Ramaswamy. And I think Vivek thought he had it like that. And he learned he didn't. He learned pretty damn quick that he didn't. Yeah. He trying to pull up the tweet because how would I put it? The way that I could describe it in no way comes even close to what he used, and then the terms that other people used in fighting this. Let's just put it this way. There is no filter in how these people are talking to each other.
No.
They are brutal, mean, cutting. It's incredible. They're just the nastiest. And oh my god, I wish I could find it. There we go. CBS News will probably have it here. So the debate started apparently when Laura Loomer, enter another person, a right-wing influencer. Now, if you remember, Laura Loomer seemed to be getting very, 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 very close to the president, almost like single white female-ish, I'm replacing you, Melania, close to the president for a while, after which some people turned around and said, no, we can't be having that because you got a particular brand of CRAY that is probably not conducive being close to this particular president who also has this particular brand of CRAY.
Mm-hmm.
CRAY. It's type. Anyway, so she decided to criticize the president-elect selection of a man named Sriram Krishnan as an advisor on artificial intelligence policy in his coming administration. Krishnan favors the ability to bring more skilled immigrants to the United States. Loomer declared the stance to be not America First policy. The purity testers are testing, and said the tech executives who have aligned themselves with Trump were doing so to enrich themselves. No shit. Did you think Elon came in with $250 million just to get a pat on the head and a good boy?
No, he bought his position.
Come on. Loomer's comments sparked a back and forth with venture capitalist and former PayPal executive David Sachs, whom Trump has tapped to be the White House AI and crypto czar. Musk and Ramaswamy, whom Trump has tasked with finding ways to cut the federal government, defended the tech industry's need to bring in foreign workers. It boomed into a larger debate with more figures from the hard right weighing in about the need to hire U.S. workers, whether values in American culture can produce the best engineers, free speech on the internet, the newfound influence tech figures have in Trump's world, and what his political movement stands for. And then, of course, this article very skillfully skates around the board to talk about it, to actually provide some information on what are H-1B visas. But there's a row going on. So, and it's pitting Elon Musk and Vivek Ramasmarmy against a vocal faction of Trump supporters. And after being disturbed or expressing that she was disturbed by this, Elon Musk in this whole process. Somehow, well, let's not put it this way. Let's not say that. That's not true. Laura Loomer mysteriously saw her blue checkmark disappear,
Mm-hmm.
thus limiting the ability of her posts to be seeing her ability to monetize her site. And that seems to have happened to a few people. Ryan Fournier would be another one.
Yes, if you piss off any of the oligarchs, they're just going to take away your right to earn money. Take away your ability to earn money.
Yeah.
They're just going to, oh, what? Oh, no, you don't get to earn money on my platform anymore because I don't like what you had to say. But you're a free speech absolutist, aren't you? Oh, only if it supports what I have to say. That's what they're really saying. You can say whatever you want as long as it falls in line with what I want to hear. If it isn't what I want to hear, we're going to cut you off at the knees.
Yep. Indeed.
He runs like its own private little clubhouse or something.
Right. So you got Ryan Fournier, X removed my checkmark. I have no clue why. I didn't update anything and my conservative OG badge was removed. I've been verified since 2016. Odd. Oh man, this is so great. Okay. So basically there's a civil war. And not only is there Laura Loomer in it, Vivek Ramasmarmy is in it, Elon Musk is in it, Steve Bannon got involved, this Fournier guy is put his 2 cents in, Matt Gaetz got in, Nikki Haley took a few swings.
They're eating each other's faces.
So Vivek, here we go. I found it here.
I have the full tweet.
You have the full tweet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Let's put it up there for the Kits and Kubs.
I put it in the link.
Okay, good. I've said it countless times in the last 2 years, and we'll say it again. The H-1B system is badly broken and should be replaced with one that focuses on selecting the very best of the best, not a lottery, pro-competitive, no indentured service to one company, and debureaucratized. So people did not like that at all as well. That's what sort of led to the whole fight coming up.
Well, there's a longer one that goes along with this.
There's the longer one too. This is the one. So that one started it. People got upset.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess he tried to make his case as if people were going to be open to a reasonable argument. But then again, he's Ramasmarmy.
Mm-hmm.
So he couldn't help himself.
Well, so, I'll read it to you.
Go ahead.
It's long, but
yeah, I got it here. Whenever you want to tag off, I'll take from you.
The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over, in quotation, Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficient, in parentheses, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers, and if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. Okay, that culture's been around since, the 20s, if not longer? This is not new, Vivek. This has been around for over 100 years. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zack and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Those are television. Oh, boy. In parentheses, fact. I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actively limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows, precisely because they promoted mediocrity, and their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents. More normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. Now close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s, or even now, who raise their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. This can't be our Sputnik moment. We've awakened from slumber before and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up, a culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. That's the work we have cut out for us, rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence. I'm confident we can do it. Now, here's the thing about that post. Vivek, bro, your name and your face get you in a lot of hot water with millions of Americans for saying something like that. Truthful or not is irrelevant. If I said it, people would look at me a little bit differently, but I wouldn't receive the same scorn and hate. Number one. Number two, you just insulted millions of Americans and did so proudly and boldly. They're going to eat your face.
So Musk first was trying to clarify. Maybe this is a helpful clarification. I am referring to bringing in via legal immigration the top about 0.1% of engineering talent as being essential for America to keep winning. This is like bringing in the Jockics or Wembys off the world to help your whole team, which is mostly Americans, win the NBA. Thinking of America as a pro sports team that has been winning for a long time and wants to keep winning is the right mental construct. Okay. So, and then people are still complaining. He keeps talking. No, we need to more like double that number yesterday. The number of people who are super talented engineers and super motivated in the US is far too low. Think of us like a pro sports team. Again, if you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be. That enables the whole team, capital letters, to win. We don't have enough talented people. Your culture is producing lazy people who'd rather sit in front of TV and admire Zach from Saved by the Bell and Corey from Boy Meets World. Then Ann Coulter gets in. American workers can leave a company. Imported H-1B workers can't. Tech warrants indentured service, not high-skilled workers. Oh, so we're taking a swipe at the tech industry now. Okay, that's in response to someone named Vish Bura writing, ask yourself, is some Indian fresh off the boat getting 3 to 4 months of training is able to fool an American that they're actually a seasoned 78-year professional? Why can't we just train Americans to do that? Oh,
Don't want to invest the money.
Okay. That is a little spicy. Laura Loomer to Vivek. Vivek Ramasmarmy knows that the Great Replacement is real. So does J.D. Vance. It's not racist to get Indians to want the original MAGA policies I voted for. I voted for a reduction in H-1B visas, not an extension. And I would happily say it to their face because there's nothing inflammatory about what I said. Everything I said is true. If India was so high-skilled, people would stay there instead of flocking to the U.S. Tell me you don't know about a world outside your borders without telling me. Really? You're not going to shame me into tempering my thoughts. I really am past the point of giving a fuck. The tech billionaires don't get to just walk inside Mar-a-Lago and stroke their massive checkbooks and rewrite our immigration policy so they can have unlimited slave laborers from India and China who never assimilate. Okay, so you notice how like within the economic argument. Some people are letting their true colors shine through. Elon, the reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and other 100 companies that made America strong, is because of H-1B. Take a big step back and fuck yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend.
Wow.
I told you.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. I'm like, dude's unhinged. And then the next day he says, could we be a little bit more kinder to one another on this platform?
Right? It's like, Bish, have you smelled yourself?
No.
Oh my God. Just unreal. And then we get Steve Bannon that comes in. And seriously, to that, someone please notify Child Protective Service. Need to do a wellness check on this toddler. This is Steve Bannon quoting the Elon Musk tweet where he tells Loomer to take a big step back and fuck yourself in the face. And then went on air and said this. Crony capitalism, Elon Musk. And by the way, when we cut him off, he went begging to the CCP. And that's why they have the joint venture in Shanghai. Tesla, which is 100% of his value, right? This guy lives on government contracts and taxpayer subsidies. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's all we're going to get. Oh my God. I'm smart enough to tell you to your face, and I'm able enough to be able to expose you as a running dog for the greatest enemy this nation's ever had. You're a war profiteer. You're sleeping with the enemy, brother, and you've been doing it because you're not an American nationalist. You're not even an American. All you are is a globalist, okay? A globalist. And you will go where anybody will write you a check. You would take it from Adolf Hitler himself because you are taking it from people that are as bad as Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy.
They can't stand each other.
No.
Oh my God. It's incredible. So while all that's going on, also in the House, we don't know if they're coming for a Speaker Mikey's Johnson. It seems that there are a lot of people that are not happy at all that the debt ceiling thing was not included in the continuing resolution, because it seems that President-elect Trump wanted them to raise the debt ceiling in this so that he can then turn around when people complain about the debt ceiling and say, well, that was done during Biden's administration, even though he asked for it. And it seems that, some people in the legislature did not want to go ahead with that, making it like the 5th or 6th or 7th time this man has been told no before he's even in office yet. And it would seem that if the members of the House are upset enough with Johnson like they were with McCarthy, because it's basically the same thing. You got a bunch of them that just want everything and don't want any compromise whatsoever. And if you do it even once, well, then you've made a deal with the devil and you got to go. And we're just going to keep on replacing you until you give us something that will give the 7 or 13 of us, or however few they are, everything that we want when we want, at the expense of everybody else. And we'll shut down government and we'll stall bills and we'll destroy your reputation. We'll make your life hell until we get the one person who is going to say, I know that, 110 of you want this, but these 13 want that. So we're going to give the 13 of them what it is that they want because they have my balls. So, because the House is coming back on Friday, and the first thing that they have to do is elect a speaker, it took, I think it was like 14 rounds last time to get Kevin McCarthy, and he had to make so many deals that he basically was so compromised he had contorted himself into a pretzel. And then they ousted him. Well, he would have to do the same thing. And they're already mad at him now. So if they do not want to nominate him as speaker this time around, and nobody's crazy enough to actually want to do the job right now, unless they're just, let's put it this way. Anybody who steps up for that job is not doing it for the best service of the nation. Either they think if they hold that job for like a year or two, they can take that status and do something with it later, or, parlay it into something else, but they're not doing it because you can't. If you think that Prime Minister Trudeau has it bad in terms of not being able to win, the poor sucker who's the Speaker of the Republican Speaker of the House right now, trust me, oh my God. So if they're not able to pick someone, and that goes and goes and goes, they are not able to certify the results of the election.
Interesting.
And that extends President Biden's term until they can find someone they can agree on for Speaker of the House to then certify the results of the election. Imagine the story about your first 100 days. Well, let's say the first 6 or 7 are still occupied by President Biden.
Yeah.
Oh, he gonna love that. Which probably means much more war and retribution. It's like, will these people even be able to get anything passed?
I don't know. I doubt it.
I have a feeling it really is going to be government by executive order.
Yeah. I think that's a reasonable statement. I don't think it's
They hate each other.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, they're all power mad to begin with, and nobody wants to listen to anybody else because they're all convinced they're all right. Because you've got a government of absolute narcissists who won't listen to anything anybody says. Although it seems funny that Trump seems to be listening to Elon Musk. Is it because Musk is promising him more money or something, or is it because he is the richest man on earth and Trump just worships money? Because
Trump needs him.
Well, Trump was against HB1 visas for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's all in on them.
Mm-hmm.
HB1 visas just create indentured servants who are paid at a non-commensurate level to an American tech or employee, number one, and number two, you are tied to the company, which is why you're an indentured servant. You can't leave. You can't quit and go somewhere else. You quit, you're out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
You are stuck with that company. So it's indentured servitude, like it or not, and they're paying you less, like I said, than an American citizen would get paid, and they know they can do it. This is why the program exists, is to get cheap labor. So, he was all against it, but now he's all for it. All because the wealthiest man on earth said it's a good idea. Oh, he said it's a good idea. It must be a good idea because he's rich, and rich people are smart.
Now, as Bell of the fifth column puts it, and this might not answer your question, but the way she puts it is, Trump can't quit Musk. He needs him. And Musk is very loath to walk away from an investment. So it seems that even though there's already trouble in paradise, this marriage might have about 6 months left in it before they can't stand each other. And it won't just implode because, Trump, Truth Social didn't really work for him.
No, it was making some money for a bit, but I think it's been losing it steadily as of recent.
Yeah. So he really needs Musk and his ability to censor and redirect and switch the algorithm and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, having someone that's willing to drop $250,000 in your bank account, especially when you go through money through lawyers as quickly as you do, is always handy.
Well, I think at one point in history that government would have looked at the power that Trump or Musk holds with Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it today. And I think they would have said, okay, now we got to break this up because you have a monopoly on media and you're controlling the message, and that is wrong. Governments have done this in the past, but the current government that they have, which is, they're out of there in a few weeks, and the incoming government is totally in his pocket. So they're just going to continue to say whatever they want and do whatever they want and get away with it because there's nobody to answer to. Until, of course, somebody gets mad when you step on somebody else's toes, and the leopards eating face party will start to eat each other's faces, because that is eventually what will happen at some point. But the hypocrisy of these fools, like, here's an example. This is just an A and B comparison. Matt Gaetz is a private citizen. Congress should not investigate a private citizen. It doesn't matter that Hunter Biden is a private citizen. The American people deserve to know. Congress needs to investigate to the fullest extent possible.
Right. It's not okay for a president to nominate a Supreme Court justice in the last year of his presidency. People should get a right to vote on that. Oh, Senator McConnell. What happens if a seat becomes free on the Supreme Court about a month before the election? We'll fill it.
I'm sorry, what? Wait a minute. They think we're stupid, right? They think we're stupid. They think we don't know how to use the internet. They think that history is ancient and not yesterday.
But it's amazing how they're always able to come up with some new rule.
Yeah.
That exists only for that little period of time until the same situation comes back and it applies to them. And then all of a sudden, what? That? Don't remember that. Oh, man. I tell you. So, kids and cubs, it's gossip. It's literally, what we're talking about, the high school nobody graduates from.
Mm-hmm.
My God, it's crazy. So, yeah. It's like, will we get a new speaker? Will Vivek Ramasmarmy last more than a Scaramucci or a Gaetz? Because now we have 2 units of time.
Mm-hmm.
Scaramucci is about 11 days. Gaetz is about 8. It's about the time he was a nomination for AG. Stay tuned. Oh, my word. Okay. How about some a bit more, a little more lighter stuff before we go, Mr. Grizzly? First, it seems that we have a Canadian to be proud of, because there's and this will make you happy, because Canada did very well on the ski slopes a couple days ago.
I'm not paying attention.
Yes, a gentleman named Cameron Alexander, who I think in 2023 was. Yes, because he was a surprise bronze medal winner at the World Championships in Courchevel, I believe it was, in the downhill. Well, he, in Bormio, which is a pretty well-known, and that's a prize, winning Bormio on the World Cup circuit. He skied down to a third place, and it was the second consecutive podium for him in Bormio, because he claimed third place exactly 1 year ago to the day there as well. So he basically defended his bronze medal. Now, this guy, throughout the season so far, has been competing fiercely. Last year, he had a breakout season where he finished in the top 30 overall in the World Cup standings for the first time. I think he came in at 27 and was 9th in the downhill at the end of the year overall. So that's pretty good. Well, he's already had 2 top 10s this season to begin with, including so close 4th. And he's now 7th in the downhill, and 10 in the, I think, in the giant slalom, something like that, and 17th in the overall World Cup standings, all disciplines combined. Like, we haven't had a male skier that high in the rankings in quite a while. So his breakout season last year. He finished, I think 26th overall in the rankings last year. So in the 17. So this is like a big, in the last 2 years, big 2 steps up, and leading into, this is the pre-Olympic season. So it's a good time to be showing this type of progress. So yeah, he goes, he says, it was another classic day in Bormio. It was bumpy, it was icy, it was dark. It's a fight the whole way down. This place has been good to me the last couple of years, and it feels great to be back on the podium. You really need to push here and be on top of your skis the whole way down. I've managed to do that the last couple of races here and got some good results. And then we had Jack Crawford, who placed 17, and Jeffrey Reed. Rings a bell, yes. Ken Reed of the Crazy Cadets. So kids ski too. And he finished 34th there. And on the women's side, Valérie Grenier finished 4th in the giant slalom at the World Cup in Semmering, Austria. So our Canadian alpine skiers are having a really good season this year. But it was really nice for him to actually medal. And this one was more not a question of if he would medal this year, but just when. Because you don't start, I mean, we're only like, 4 or 5 races into the season. So you don't pick up a 9th, a 4th, and not going to have a medal coming at some point. So, yeah, broke through. So good for him. That's it's really impressive performance. I mean, I don't know a lot about downhill ski, but I watch it a lot on TV, and when you hear the commentators, there are certain hills, Kitzbühel. We're talking about that. It's just sort of like, oh, okay, there's your all. Let's put it this way.
Of heart.
Yes, let's put it this way. There are no easy World Cup races, but among them, there are some courses that are particularly a challenge. And if you can master those, people look at you with stars in their eyes, right? Now, for us, there's a little drama for Team Canada at the World Juniors, because, as you remember, when we left, they had just played Finland and picked up a 4-0 win, which surprised me because Finland is a pretty strong team. Well, their next game was against Latvia. Usually, Canada has little difficulty with Latvia. Again, not in fear no one, but respect everyone. But typically, a Canada-Latvia matchup usually ends up with Canada on the winning side. Well, not this year, Kits and Kubs. Eriks Matejko scored the only goal of the shootout. It got to a shootout as Latvia stunned what was described by the Canadian press as being an alarmingly uninspired Canada. 3-2 at the World Junior Hockey Championship on Friday. So that surprise, since we're talking about Knives Out, oh man, if you saw the socials after that match, it was like, can we fire a coach mid-tournament? Can we? Whoa. Okay. People didn't take that well. Well, sometimes you lose.
Well, Latvia just outplayed them, and they had better goaltending. Simple as that. 62 shots. 62. They scored 2 goals on them.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, they got outplayed by the goalie. That happens. It's hockey.
Yeah.
And they won last night against Germany 3-0, but that was a tight match. Like, they couldn't.
Yeah.
We're not doing good for a while there. But.
Yeah. So.
Well, they don't have a Connor Bedard this year. They don't have any standout individual players, and I think that's the big, you have one guy like that Connor Bedard scored most of the goals when he played the last time, a few years ago, right?
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, but people calm down, man. It's like we could lose a game.
It's a tournament.
That's all right. It's a tournament.
Well, the way I see it is, if Canada gets bounced out of the medal rounds, I'm cheering for Latvia.
Well, now, yes. I mean, if you're going to beat us, you better go ahead and win the whole damn thing, because otherwise it looks bad for us. It's like, now you got to win.
Yeah.
Them's are the rules. So yeah, that is that's going on there. So they're clearly still in the preliminary rounds, and there's a lot to do there. I think there's not sure how many matches that there are left. Is it 5 in the preliminary round?
I'm not sure.
Hmm,
I think it is.
okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I can't remember because I know that there was an expansion for a while, so there are more teams
Mhm.
in. So I just don't know if it's a bigger tournament than it was. But yes, so I mean this is just 3 matches in the round robin at the moment. So there's still lots of time left in there to not have to worry about. So yeah, oh no, it's just 4 matches. So I was wrong, but there's no need to panic. Canada is very safely in second place, technically first place, second place because of goals differentials, but tied with the United States. So it looks pretty good that they're going to be advancing and probably have a good draw. Although, very interestingly, it's almost like Group B might be a little stronger. Huh. Interesting. Because Czech Republic and Sweden and Slovakia are all there, and those are some pretty strong teams. So it'll be interesting to see there.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to play out. We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see. But you know what? Sometimes in these types of tournaments, that type of loss serves as a wake-up call.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it does, and it may do that. Hopefully, I mean they did beat Germany last night, but 3-0. That's not a lopsided victory by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but the other teams are getting better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No question.
Right?
No question.
Yeah. No, there's not that many 12-1s anymore.
Thank goodness.
I know, right?
See that in women's hockey, but not as much as we once did.
Right. And for those of you who are curling fans, today is the day. I mentioned before, but if you are want to watch some really cool curling, the 2025 Canadian Mixed Doubles Curling Trials begin at Queen's Place Emera Centre in Liverpool, Nova Scotia. So if you happen to be in that part of the country and you're looking for something really fun and cool to do, that would be a place to do that. 16 teams from across the country will participate in the trials. They'll conclude on January 4th, and the winning team will represent Canada at the Doubles World Championships, which will be in Fredericton from April 26th to May 3rd. So lots of high-quality international caliber curling coming to Atlantic Canada over the next couple of months. That event will also decide most of the countries that will compete at the 2026 Winter Olympics. And if Canada qualifies for the Games, it will be the trials winner in Liverpool who will wear the maple leaf in Italy. So not only competing to go to the World Championships, but for the right to represent Canada if they go to the World Championships and qualify Team Canada for a spot. Because previous tournaments, Team Canada would qualify for a spot, and then we'd have trials the following year to see who gets to fill it. So sometimes the team that qualified us for the spot didn't necessarily get to go and play. So in this occasion, they're going to do that, which is also cool because it gives that team a whole year to play together as a team in doubles before going, rather than just, there's some people that specialize in doubles to do that, and then there's some partnerships that come together. And I was trying to remember the other day, the curler that was with Caitlin Laws when they won the gold medal, and it was like I couldn't remember. I'm thinking I should remember because he curled for my club. It's John Morris. I was coming back home in the car yesterday. It was like, Johnny Moe. It just popped into my head. So,
no idea. I assume he's from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, no. Ottawa Curling Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. His father coached Rachel Homan.
Okay.
Back in the day. So yeah, that's how I got to play against Rachel Homan once. Well, she was still a junior.
Down the street from me.
Pardon?
Rachel Homan's home club is just down the street from me.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then that's why I'm saying I sit there. Oh my God, I can't believe I drew a blank. I'm a curler. I should know this. So yeah, but Rachel, Caitlin Laws, and Johnny Moe, basically got together for that particular Olympics, but they didn't. It's not like they played like a whole season, whole year together before going on. They just assembled the team, and Team Canada is good enough that every now and then you can go in, just put two people together and win something. But a lot of the teams now, play a full season, a full year. So this would give us that same opportunity as well. And as I mentioned on the previous show, before Team Canada had sent two different people for doubles that were not on the four-person teams. Now that is not a rule. So somebody that's going on a four-person team can also play doubles. So for example, if Rachel Homan wins with Brendan Botcher in mixed doubles, but her team also gets to go and wins the four-person team, she gets to play in both. So for the first time, Canada could have a double medalist in curling at the next Olympics, should all the stars align that way, which was never possible before. All right. Do we have a show, Mr. Grizzly, or do you have something else before we go?
No, I've got an Easter egg for us afterwards, but that's it.
All right, kids and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. And some early words of wisdom. You might want to invest in some popcorn because things are about to get good. But before you do that, please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. And for those of you who are listening on Ears version, I am proud to report that I have all the episode descriptions in to Friday's show. So very soon, I know Mr. Grizzly, that's going to give you a certain amount of work, and I don't expect it to all be done instantaneously. But once Mr. Grizzly gets them all up, we will finally all be together at the same point in time. Thank you for your patience. But yes, I really wanted to get it done before the end of the year, and I'm happy I was able to do that. But I had to crank out like 9 of them over the course of the weekend to make that happen. So I'm a little beavered out. I've seen and heard a lot of myself over the past few days. I don't know if you can overdose on beaver.
Sure.
But what a way to go. Anyway, so I'm just being naughty. Okay. So please, if you would like to make sure that you do not miss our podcast, if you're listening in the ears only version, you need to go to our pod page, which is sponsored by the Ray Girl. Thank you so much for doing that this year for us. We really appreciate it. That's podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. We appreciate it if you do, because when you click subscribe there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. Now, if you would like to help us in other ways, well, you need to make like Kit Lane, and who is celebrating, I think, 21 months, if I remember correctly, of being nicotine free. Woot, woot. There you go. Congratulations, you, on choosing you.
That is an achievement because it's one of the world's most addictive drugs.
Indeed. And I'm a big believer in you do the work, you reap the rewards. So way to go. Enjoy the rewards. So congratulations to you. That's quite an achievement. We are very proud of you, and keep going. Right? Let's see. Yes, if you would like to do that, then you need to go to our YouTube page and click our buttons. Like, share, subscribe. They're right there. And when you do that, it gets us some happy. So thank you so very much. Now, if you would like to help us out in other ways, kids and cubs, our stockings are well hung by the chimney with care. And they need you to fill them a little bit if you could. We are going to keep them up because until Orthodox Christmas, make sure that everybody gets their Christmas in. So if you think that I have been a very good beaver this year, or that Mr. Grizzly has been a very good grizzly, then maybe you would like to go down to the chimney, slide down the chimney, and be Santa and pop a little something in our stockings, as have our good friends Kit Carlos, who says happy holidays and thank you for being a breath of fresh air in this current foul atmosphere of BS. The Eager Beaver family has my heartfelt appreciation. So thank you for your enthusiastic and effusive show of appreciation, sir. We are very, very lucky to have you as a fan. And to Kit Vim, dear one, who says, I feel privileged to be part of this family. Thank you to all for keeping it real and keeping me sane. Love Vim. Also an enthusiastic expression of appreciation. So thank you very much. I start every year with some targets, goals that we hope to achieve, and what you are doing for us in the year-end push, Gaetz and Kubs, is getting us very, 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 very close, if not maybe slightly past it. I haven't done the accounting, but thank you. Thank you for your support. And as you know, it goes back into the show, of course, to try and bring you more features and better production values. And this year we experienced with doing some things remote, maybe bringing a pubcast somewhere near you, something like that, because all of that costs money. So we appreciate your support. Thank you very much. On that front, 2024 has not been a bad year for us, but that's your doing. And of course, it helps that we're starting to get money just to exist from YouTube. All right. So if you would like to support us, again, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, or you scan the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head. And we thank you for everything that you are able to do for us there. Now, if you're not able to contribute financially, please do not worry, because that's not a concern for us. The gifts of your attention and your participation and all the compliments and help you give us in putting the show together, our stockings already overflow. There's hardly any place in it really to put a tip, but I'm sure if you work hard you can. But it's like you've taken up all the room with your gift and with your attention and appreciation, and our hearts overflow as a result of it. And we want to hear from you. So please write to us, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And that's where you can also send us your thoughts about for our year in review show, because we're either going to do that either tomorrow if there's some really big news, or if there is on the 1st, to make it a nice light show so that we don't have to prepare something big and we can enjoy celebrations, but still have our daily rendezvous with you as well. So please send that there. Put year in review in the title. Let us know what were your big stories, your most underrated stories, the politician you thought did the best or did the worst. Look at all levels. If there's a sports story or a cultural story, just let us know what was on your mind this year. And if you have hopes for 2025, why not? Okay. Appreciate
or
all
gently
the help
used
that you gave us there.
1998.
Yes, or gently used 1998. Yes, please. Your hopes for gently used 1998.
So you remember in the film The Matrix, they said 1999 was the actual peak point of human existence?
Mm.
And I thought, oh, come on. Well, so the technology's improved, but I think we've, as a species, gone backwards, because Nazis are rearing their ugly head. People are against vaccinations, and they think the world is flat. If you had told me in 1999 that 25 years from now, in 2024, those things would be a reality, I would have laughed you into the street.
Mm-hmm.
I would have ridiculed you and pointed, saying, you're being ridiculous. You're foolish. Shame.
Mm-hmm.
Shame on you for that idiocy. And here we are.
And
Confederacy of dunces.
1999 was also, also had that Prince song.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was much
that
earlier.
That might have been the sign that we had reached
peak humanity. Yeah.
Who
knows?
1999.
Careful.
I have to stop there. I know. I'm only allowed to do like 5 seconds or something. Okay, Kids and Cubs. So, yeah. Because democracy is something that you do, again, just because Christmas is over for some of us doesn't mean that the need goes away. So if there's something that you can do in your community, or make sure that someone also has a good January, because sometimes that is a tougher month when the people stop thinking about generosity on a more regular basis than they do during the season. So if there's anything that you can do, please think of what that could be, and try to make some arrangements to do that over the new year. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom?
I don't know if it's words of wisdom so much as it is somewhat shameless self-promotion. I had intended to do an ASMR last Monday on the 23rd, but the evening got away from me. I was out with a friend, and I just sitting there having a chat, a nice long conversation. And I look at my watch and I go, 9:30. Oh, shit. So I didn't get a show last week, and then I was going to try and put something in during the week. But the Christmas season really does disrupt one's normal pattern, as you well know. So I didn't get anything done last week, but I will be doing an ASMR show this evening at 9 p.m. and I'm going to also release some additional ASMR related material on the channel later today as well. Just some little quick hits here and there, but I will have a show at 9 p.m. this evening for those of you who are interested. And if you want to know how to get there and you're watching the show right now, you can scan the QR code by my head. That'll take you right to my personal YouTube channel, which is, what is it, Polly's World 2005?
I think so.
I can't even remember my own YouTube. That is that, eh? Like, seriously, I can't remember my own YouTube.
We need to work on your ability to promote yourself, sir.
Yeah, I got it here. I'll share it here. Just give me a sec. Where's that?
Okay.
I have it here. I don't know. Where's the share? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is. It's Polly's World 2005. I'll just put it in the chat here for those of you who are interested, and I will. I thought I had it in the.
It sounded right when you said it.
Yeah, I was having moments of self-doubt that sometimes happen. Oh yeah, there it is. I have it in the scrolling chyron there on the ticker. So yeah, if you want to join in tonight at 9 p.m., I'm going to talk about the Christmas season, how it can affect a person negatively and positively. Sometimes how it has affected me, how it affected me this year, what I was feeling and going through. And as the end of the year approaches, you start to look back on the past year and you think, did I do any of the things I needed or wanted to do this year? And, well, I had a lot of abrupt changes in my life due to employment ending, which I wasn't unhappy about per se, but I'll talk about that tonight. So anyway, if you want to join in, we'll be on at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what time that is in the part of the world you're in, but you can catch the show whenever you like. It's if you don't see the live show, you can catch the replay. But the reason to join the live show is to become a member of the chat, join the chat, which I like to call a virtual group therapy, because we all like to talk about. Some people will express, thank you for talking about that. They won't necessarily type in what they're feeling or what they're going through, and you don't need to do that. I'm the one who's pouring my heart out and my emotions out. So if you can identify with it and if it helps you in any way, well, then that just makes my day.
All right. With that, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
So I've got a treat of a leopards eating people's faces party.
Ooh.
I won't tell you anything about it. It's 1 minute and 3 seconds, and just enjoy this.
Ooh.
Up crony capitalism and Elon Musk. And by the way, when we cut him off, he went begging the CCP, and that's why they have the joint venture in Shanghai, the Tesla, which is 100% of his value, right? This guy lives on government contracts and taxpayer subsidies, okay? It's all, we're going to get Joe Allen in here for a second to transform it. Elon Musk, once again, brother, I'm smart enough to tell you no to your face. And I'm evil enough to be able to expose you as a running dog for the greatest enemy this nation's ever had. You're a war profiteer. You're sleeping with the enemy, brother. And you've been doing it because you're not an American nationalist. You're not even an American. All you are is a globalist, okay? A globalist. And you will go where anybody writes you a check, and you would take it from Adolf Hitler himself, because you're taking it from people that are as bad as Adolf Hitler. The murderous regime of the Chinese Communist Party, which you praise.
Told you I had a banger for you.
That was the quote I was reading earlier. Oh my God. Okay, you found the clip.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's what's going on. Kid Cassie, thank you for the super chat donation. I just saw it come in. I didn't see it when it came in before, but I saw it in the chat. And Mr. Grizzly, you brought attention to it by posting it in the chat. And I didn't see it, but I went to look at it just now, and I do want to read it because I did not know this, from our friend Craig Baird at Canadian History X.
Mm-hmm.
When a partial meltdown of Ontario's Chalk River nuclear power plant occurred in 1952, one of the 150 Americans brought in to help dismantle the parts of the reactor was Jimmy Carter.
Correct.
He was lowered into the reactor in 90-second shifts, which was enough to remove one bolt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to reduce the amount of exposure. Yeah, he helped prevent a meltdown. I told that to Bridget last night. She was shocked. She had no idea. I said, yeah, no, I learned about that a few years ago.
Yeah.
We may have even have read it into the record on this show at the time when I learned about it.
Oh, maybe. Okay. For some reason, I'm not aware. But according to Craig, in September 1945, the first nuclear reactor outside the United States became operational at Chalk River Laboratories in Deep River, Ontario. 7 years later, the world's first nuclear reactor meltdown occurred there. On December 12, 1952, tests at low power were conducted at the reactor using low coolant flux through the core. While this was happening, a supervisor noticed control rods being pulled from the core after an operator had accidentally opened the pneumatic valves. These valves were immediately closed, but some of the rods did not re-enter the core and became stuck in a withdrawn position. The status lights still indicated they were lowered. The operator quickly noticed the power level of the reactor doubling every 2 seconds. Within 10 seconds, the core reached 17 megawatts. Cooling water began to boil in the tubes, causing them to rupture. About 14 seconds later, valves were manually opened to drain heavy water from the calandria. Power increased for 5 more seconds as the water drained. Power peaked at 100 megawatts, then fell down as the heavy water level decreased and reached 0 megawatts after 25 seconds. The entire accident from low to high to zero lasted only 108 seconds. Over 4,500 cubic meters of radioactive water leaked into the cellar. The radioactive water was dumped into ditches 1.6 kilometers from the border of the Ottawa River. The accident released 10 kilocuries of radioactive material. The cleanup was conducted by 850 Atomic Energy of Canada staff, 170 Canadian soldiers, and 150 U.S. Navy personnel. And then that's where he comes in. One of those men was future U.S. President Jimmy Carter, who was lowered into the reactor 90 seconds at a time. The cleanup took months. The reactor core was removed.
Nuclear fission. I think he had a degree in nuclear fission or something to that extent.
Oh, okay. The cleanup took months. The reactor core was removed and buried, and an improved reactor was installed. It started operating 14 months after the accident. In 1958, another incident occurred. This was a smaller incident that took 3 months to clean. So thank you, Craig, for that. See, just little bits of history that we never knew. But yeah, absolutely. All right, Kits and Cubs, that is the end of our show. So I'm going to wish you a most beaverific day. Bye-bye.
All right, I'm just going to post a quick link in the chat from Wikipedia about Jimmy Carter. If you want to do a little bit more reading, it's there for your perusal at your leisure.
He graduated with a Bachelor of Science in 1946. So there you go.
Yeah, in 1953, he began a 6-month course in nuclear power plant operation at Union College in Schenectady, New York. Yeah. Very, very smart, learned, educated, kind, humble, generous human being.
The world is poorer for the loss.
we are lesser for having lost to. All right.
Yeah.
See ya.